Welcome to The Explainer. And look, if you think you've heard every crazy story out there, well, think again. We are about to dive into some of this week's absolute wildest headlines from all over the globe. Seriously, we're going to go on a journey of just escalating absurdity. And we're starting off with a story that totally redefines the phrase, taking the family car for a spin. So, our first story takes us all the way to Malaysia. And it involves two very, very young brothers who had let's call it a singular high-stakes mission. Okay, so let's meet the driver, shall we? He is just 6 years old. And his partner in crime? Get this, his 3-year-old brother just riding shotgun. So here's how it went down. Mom goes to the bathroom, dad's asleep, and that's all the time they needed. They grabbed the keys and set off on a 2.5-kilometer drive. And other drivers on the road were totally puzzled. They just figured it must be a drunk driver. Now, as you can probably guess, this did not end well. The 6-year-old, he lost control of the car and crashed right into a lamppost, really messing up the car's hood. Thankfully, he only got a small cut on his chin, and his little brother was totally okay.
So, the big question is, why? What was this grand mission all about? Well, when they were asked, the boys just explained that their plan was to drive to the store to buy a toy model car. I mean, can you believe it? All that for a little toy car? Wow.
Okay, so we're going from childhood mischief that, came from a really simple wish. And now we're going to pivot to some major corporate chaos. And trust me, an apology that you really have to hear about to believe. All right, I want you to just imagine this for a second. You're one of 308 passengers, and you're just stuck on a plane. But the real nightmare here is in the timeline. They were stuck on the tarmac for hours, and then, around midnight, the flight gets canceled. And to top it all off, they're told they have to sleep in the terminal. I mean, that is a travel disaster of epic proportions. But then, something really unusual happened. The airline didn't just, send out a generic email or some meal voucher. Nope, they sent the guy in charge. And get this, Chang Kuwei, the actual chairman of Starlux Airlines, personally flew to Japan to apologize to every single passenger, and he offered them all a full refund. This is a level of corporate responsibility you almost never see. The chairman himself showing up to make it right face to face. That's something else. Okay, our next story, oh boy. This one brings us what might just be the boldest, most unforgettable alibi of all time. Seriously. So here's the scene. A guy gets pulled over for speeding, and the police officer watches as the driver frantically, and I mean frantically, tries to switch seats with his dog. The guy then gets out of the passenger side and has the nerve to insist the dog was the one behind the wheel. You can't make this stuff up. So, naturally, the officer asks him if he's been drinking, and the guy does the only thing that apparently seemed logical to him at that moment. He bolts. He tries to run for it. And how far did he get? A whopping 18 meters. That's it, before he was caught. And as it turns out, there was a bit more to the story. The driver was lost, sure, but he also had 2 outstanding warrants. So now, on top of everything else, he's facing a whole slew of new charges. Yeah, definitely not his best night. So what about the real hero of our story? The dog. Well, the police report didn't mention any charges being filed against him for his alleged role in the whole thing. He was just given to a friend of the driver to be looked after while his owner was, let's just say, otherwise occupied. But wait, there's more. The world's weirdness never takes a break, so let's do a quick lightning round of a few more bizarre headlines. First up, a student faked her own kidnapping. And why? Because she hadn't finished college and didn't want to tell her parents. I mean, talk about taking avoiding a tough conversation to a whole new level. Next, we go to the office, where things got personal. An employee got so fed up with a coworker stealing his milk that he put a lock on it, a padlock, on his milk carton. You gotta do what you gotta do to protect the dairy, I guess. And finally, a wild seal was spotted just chilling on a beach in central Israel. This is thousands of miles from where it's supposed to be. I guess even seals need a nice Mediterranean vacation every now and then. So what's the takeaway from all this? I mean, from joyriding toddlers and law-breaking pets to airline chairmen making personal apologies, these stories really do paint a strange but pretty fascinating picture of the world we live in. There's this quote that kind of fits, right?
It seems like when you put people in the right circumstances, whether it's a sleeping parent, a canceled flight, or a traffic stop, they will find the most creative and, yeah, often the most absurd solutions to their problems.
And at the end of the day, these stories are just a hilarious reminder of the bizarre logic people use when they're backed into a corner. It really makes you think. And it leaves me with one final question for you. After hearing all this, what's the most absurd excuse you've ever heard someone try to use? Something to think about. Thanks for watching this explainer.